All right, let's go for a swim in this very warm and tropical water, shall we? To swim in the winter, you gotta have a good sense of humor. And now we got a big wave coming in. And another one. Hold on a second. So in this video I want to talk about an important subject such as numbing of your hands. It is probably the number one factor that limits the time you spend in this awesome water. Oh, it's so warm, unbelievable. That I say sarcastic. It's the middle of the winter in Canada, and the water, to say the least, is refreshing, as I like to say. So, to the subject, numbing of your hands and toes. It's very important to pay attention to them, because while you're in the water, and the fact that they are numb and become painful, and the fact that you can't move your hands very well, it's not as dangerous, because, they are in the water. But once you get out, and especially if the temperature of the air is in the negative, and there's wind chill, there's strong winds, frostbite can set in very fast. And once you get out of the water, when your skin is cold, when your fingers are cold through and through, then they become numb in the air with wind at negative temperature instantly, within literally few seconds. As soon as you get out of the water, they become numb, and that numbness increases threefold, fivefold right away. So if in the water you can barely move them, once you get out of the water, literally your hands are like this. That poses a problem, because once you get out of the water, you have to dress yourself very quickly. And if your hands are frozen, that creates a dangerous situation. So that is one of my lessons to you, is really watch your fingers and toes, and toes especially. We're going to talk about them as soon as I submerge myself fully into the water, because that is what I must do. Awesome. Yes, you have to watch your toes, because when we get out, everybody's so concerned about their poor body, maybe their head, which is always, of course, important. But right away, I recommend putting your socks on and then putting the hat on and everything else. You can't really put the gloves on your hands, because you still have to use them to dress yourself again, and that, doesn't work when you have gloves on. But once you're in the water, there are tricks that you can do to prolong your stay in the water, meaning to keep your hands warm, and thus prolonging your stay in the water. And that is basically either keeping your fingers in a fist, and then furthermore what you can do is basically take that fist and you close it fully, and then take the thumb and press it against your chest. That way the tips and your fingernails and everything, very tips of your fingers, are hidden, and then your thumb is again protected from the full exposure of the cold by your body, because you pressed it against your chest, or whatever part of your body that you pressed it against. But that is a trick you can do. Also, of course, I think most of you do that anyway, but just in case, it is worth saying, when either you have a fully closed fist or open hands as you swim in the water, you want to pulsate, either pulsate like this, make sure you're squeezing your fist, or you're just opening and closing your fingers, and that way the blood circulates through them through them, I have to unfreeze. But yeah, the blood circulates through them. There you go, I did it. And keeps the warm blood going in to the fingers, and that you can stay in the water longer because your hands do not go numb as fast. Same with your toes. You're basically squeezing and pulsating them as well. That, of course, helps. Now I have to submerge my head into the water, so I can't speak at all after that. Whew. A wonderful day today. What else is there to tell you? Again, be smart. The biggest danger is actually the air, not the water. So even though my hands are really cold right now, my thumb is very frozen. Nevertheless, it's once I get out is when the real race to dress yourself begins, and to protect your fingers and toes once you get out of the water. Thank you for listening. I'm gonna submerge once more, and then we gotta get out. Don't go anywhere. I forgot some of the points that I wanted to make while swimming in that very warm water. The first point is I do not recommend that you wear any type of diving gloves or boots. That is because you should expose your body to the element, to the cold water naturally the way it is, without cheating or trying to somehow sidestep the fact that your hands and feet go numb. A lot of people are inclined to do that, but I advise against it because you always want to limit yourself by the level of tolerance of your weakest link, which is your toes and fingers. If they can't tolerate the cold, you shouldn't stay in that water either, or you should stay in the cold water as long as your fingers and toes can tolerate the cold. That, at least in my opinion, is the wisest way to approach this. There is an exception, and that is when there's a strong waves, when the ground is rocky, and there's a possibility you may damage your feet if you go in the water without some type of a boot. That is acceptable. I have done that, but overall you should basically go into the cold water the way you were born. Preferably, if there's nobody around, you can go naked if you like. But again, don't cover your hands and feet with anything. Expose yourself to the elements the way you are. The other point I wanted to make was to answer a question: how numb do my hands get? Do your hands get? What is the limit? All I can tell you is that they go to a point. The numbness gets to a point where you just don't feel it. You can literally cut your skin with a knife and you will not feel the pain. Like, that is how numb your hands get, and they recover from it every time. It is not something that is dangerous, at least for me. It is my experience. There has been no side effects from that numbness. So your hand is literally like that. You're just barely moving it as you put the clothes on, and I'm not feeling it. I'm just feeling pressure that is applied on the hands, but I'm not particularly feeling anything else, texture or anything like that. So your hands can get very numb, and more or less it is okay. If they're starting to go blue or black, now that is a dangerous situation. You should not push it that far. But if they are more or less of a skin color, if they're red, you are still in the safe zone. So that's that. And the last thing, some people have asked me while I shoot my videos, as you can see, do I keep my hands submerged? And yes, I do. So I want to show you how I keep my hands submerged. So that's a regular selfie stick. You can't use them while shooting any type of videos in the salt water. or any type of water in general, because this is steel and will rust. Your selfie stick will be, well, who cares if it's ruined? It's not that expensive, but it will be useless very quick. So this is a real selfie stick. I mean, you can go to war with this thing. So it is the same connection as a regular selfie stick. I simply attached it to a wooden stick, and it works brilliant. So when I'm recording, either with one hand or the other, my hands are actually submerged in the cold water because I'm recording so much lately. I want to specifically have my hands submerged in the cold water. Also, wood doesn't rust. There's no problem with it. So if any of you wish to start recording your own videos about winter swimming, this is a device I recommend that you make. It's simply the top from this selfie stick attached to the wood. This type of bolt is inserted into the wood itself, and it connects. Then I simply glued it and secured it that way. But this is a type of device, sophisticated device, that I use to record my videos. Almost forgot, there is one more very important experience that I need to tell you. Now, whenever I push my limits in a very cold water, meaning water that is 1 degree Celsius, 0, -1, -2, that is how cold water in the Atlantic Ocean gets here in Canada. There's one thing that often happens with my big toe, especially. Primarily it's with my big toe on my right foot, but sometimes happens on the left. And that is, it gets so numb that when I get out of the water, it stays numb for about 20 minutes after I got out of the water, after I dressed. I will be driving in my truck back home, and throughout that drive, my toe will be numb. Now, at first, that concerned me a great deal. I was worried that when that happened the first time, I was worried I could lose my toe because it was staying numb for so long. It was in a sock, in a shoe. I had the heater at full directed towards my feet. Then I took the shoe off, took the sock off, in the car driving, heater blasting at full, and I couldn't feel my toe. And that concerned me. But eventually it returned to normal. Eventually the sensation returned to my toe. And after I pushed my limits in the cold water in subsequent swims, when I went again in very cold water for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes I went for 12 minutes, I got used to it. It no longer scared me. I realized, okay, my toe gets numb. But this is something that I really want to convey to you, because should that happen to you, I don't want you to be freaking out. I want you to be relaxed and realize if it's not again black or blue, then probably it's simply that the nerves got so cold that they are not responding, and you need to just basically wait another 30 minutes or so. Again, if you're in a car or near some sort of a heat, apply heat on it and it will return to normal. But that happens, and it happens often, and it's a very important experience that I wanted to share with you, since we're talking on the subject of numb hands, feet, fingers, and toes. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, swim safe.